So, welcome to the 1 to 11 podcast with myself and Johnny Thrash, or John, or Johnny, my brother.
Hello.
This is something that we created during the coronavirus pandemic lockdown as a way of kind of reliving what we felt were the glory days of football. You look at some of the possibly football kind of lost its joy over the last few years for us, and we wanted to think back of a simpler time of Football Italia on Channel 4 on a weekend morning, thinking of the Premier League, any time watching the Premier League years and realising how entwined that was in the fabric of our life.
Yeah, it's something we used to do in car journeys, isn't it? We used to try and create a theme and then would create an 11 around that, and this is just something we've brought onto another stage. So
yeah, we enjoy doing it, and I think the thing to bear in mind of it, this isn't us categorically saying that this is the best 1 to 11 of this of all time. This is what we feel from our opinion, and the players that we select in this. We'll try and give you some rationale in it and why we think they fit in, but we're not one of these. I don't know. A lot of podcasts, it's very kind of this is the opinion. This is the only opinion. Like, we welcome your opinion. If you listen to this and think, do you know what an absolute shambles that you think, I don't know, David Batty was unloved by England, and you think there was somebody else who was more, you live and breathe Jeff Thomas and think
if you are Jeff Thomas,
yeah, if you are Jeff Thomas or a very angry Joey Barton or Jimmy Bullard concerned that we didn't include you in there, we welcome your opinion. It's something that I think, we have a Twitter page, we have a Facebook page, and we're going to share the 1 to 11s for a website as well, and just get to a point of just sharing our content on this. And we're interested in what other people think, because like I say, this is something that we used to do on long car journeys. Me and John used to kind of go up. We live down south. We used to go up north quite regularly. We'd go and see Leeds games at the South Stand.
Yeah.
And travel up, and this is what we do on the way. And I think what we're going to focus on today is, I think if you've listened to some of the other ones, you'll notice there's almost a theme of kind of should have tried harder.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily our presenting style. That's
I think that's what we're drawn to, isn't it? I think
God loves a trier.
It's I find there's something quite cold. I've said it before. I find it quite cold about Messi, Ronaldo, and their sort of constant stream of success, and even Zlatan, etc. And I prefer a trier rather than a winner. So, but this current one, there's quite a lot of winners in this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of winners when they play for other teams, but not so much in this team. So we were always kind of I say, I'll speak for both of us here. We've always had a soft spot for the Dutch football team.
Yeah,
because I think they're one of those teams that just, on paper, should win everything. Back in the early 90s, obviously, coming out of Euro 88, where you had that amazing Van Basten, Gullit,
Rijkaard,
Koeman. There's that generation of the 80s coming in with that new generation of the 90s and building this amazing, and then just this conveyor belt of amazing forwards. You look at your Bergkamp, your Van Nistelrooy, your Hasselbank, your Pierre van Hooijdonks of the world.
Kluivert,
Patrick Kluivert, yeah. I'm not saying Pierre van Hooijdonk as a joke. Have you looked at that man's record?
We'll get onto him because
by the way, he doesn't make my team. He doesn't
make my team.
I thought, the man scored goals wherever he went. So there's just the thing with the Dutch is you had all these wonderful elements and these players who were just destroying tournaments in their club teams consistently, and you had that amazing story. And in terms of our timeline of this, it's kind of the 90s and the early 2000s, isn't it? So kind of 1990 to 2010. Well, 2012.
Well, to 2020, effectively. That if they're yeah.
You look at that these Dutch teams, and I completely lost my train of thought with that there. But essentially, you look at these Dutch teams, and they had players that were slaying these championships, but whenever they got to the big tournaments, something would go wrong.
Yeah.
Or this utter juggernaut would come through, or they wouldn't qualify for some ridiculous reason.
That's what I love about them. They either don't qualify or they go out in the semis on penalties.
And everybody makes fun of the English for having the worst penalty record. My God, if you looked at the Dutch's record at penalties,
it's so poor. It's so bad.
And this is a team that should have won the big one. We have 1966. We have the glory that comes from that constant aching. Oh, we're going to do it again. And when the World Cup comes around next in Qatar, if it's there.
Oh God, yeah, 2022.
When that comes around, let's see what happens. But this Dutch team just. There's always this kind of fascination with the Dutch, and what I was going to say, you had that amazing nucleus of the Ajax team in the '95 Champions League that won that. You have that '95 Champions League team would win trophy after trophy after trophy, and stink up Chelsea reserves on 40 grand a week for years.
Yep.
And we always had this soft spot for them off the back of that because they were always interesting. It was never dull watching these players and watching this country and watch the arguments and the pressure they put on these players.
Yeah, I mean, our forming years of getting into football, the Dutch were sort of everything we love. They were brilliant, but they were also the architects of their own downfall. And they were supremely skilled, but didn't work as a team a lot of the time. And that's the thing. It's the sort of thing I sort of like. I love watching a team of sort of like a Leicester who have a team that's more than the sum of their parts. Or I love watching a team of supremely skillful players
just fuck it up,
fall apart at the seams. And yeah, that's what I like. So that's what I find interesting. And in fact, Wednesday night, last Wednesday, I was watching England's greatest ever performance against
what? When we beat the Germans, qualifying for the 2002 World Cup.
Honestly, that performance pales in comparison to what we did to the Dutch in 1996. And
that was just everything. That was a Dutch team that, again, keeping up our narrative, were fantastic.
Yeah,
had quality in every single area.
Yeah,
and just
blew it because Davids left the camp. Kluivert had issues. Overmars was injured. All these things, and just brilliant. I just love the Dutch. They're just what makes tournament football interesting. So,
and I think you've also got this history as well, haven't you? That legacy, and we're not picking the best Dutch 11 of all time. No, we're picking the best Dutch players we know.
We've
from
never
what we saw.
We've never seen Johan Cryuff playing when in our time. I have watched old games, and he's fantastic. There's no point denying it.
He's top 5 all time.
Top 5 all time. But we've not seen him. I've never seen Neeskins. All these great players.
Brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, just this.
Even I've not picked Van Basten up front because I never saw Van Basten really playing because he got injured in 19.
Yeah, pretty much at the point we started watching Football Italia, he'd had that massive knee injury, hadn't he?
Yeah, and we never saw him. So I've not been able to pick him because I've never really seen him. Even though We know he's great, but it would just be everything I hate about football analysis, and I'd be talking about something I've never seen, so I don't want to be that hipster.
And I want to pick the top 11 Dutch footballers I've seen.
Exactly.
If you want to tell us the best top 11 Dutch footballers you've seen, tell us about it.
Exactly.
If you watch Van Basten in his pomp at Milan in the European Cup, and you thought that absolutely he has to be in there, tell us. We value your opinion.
We know he's great. We never saw him playing when at the time.
The height of his powers.
Exactly. So
we have to talk about the formation of this because we're going to go against type here, John. Because we are
one of the few ones we aren't going 4-4-2.
Because we can't. There'd be riots. The Dutch players would not play in the shape we put in, and they'd go into this. They have to play 4-3-3. You have to play Cruyff's formation.
Yeah. I think it was Advocaat dared to play 4-4-2, and they fired him, I think. So we want to keep our job. In this,
you look at Rijkaard at Barca, went away from the Dutch philosophy, which is strange because it's Rijkaard.
Yeah,
you're gone.
Yeah.
So we always start by going from the goalkeeper upwards, and I'd like to offer my goalkeeper to you, John.
Okay, why have you picked Ed de Hoy?
Let me tell you why I've picked Stefan Postma. No, Ed de Hoy was fantastic, and I think very underrated at Chelsea. The player I've picked is, for me, I'm a Manchester United fan, so I'm slightly biased here, but for me, Edwin van der Sar. He was just everything you'd want a goalkeeper to be. He was gigantic.
Yeah.
He was athletic. He could hurl it. And he was a presence. He was somebody who you want. It's someone I would have wanted to play for.
Yeah, quite frankly, doesn't he hold the record in the Premier League for longest
time without conceding? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. The Man United team that he came into when we bought him from Fulham, which, by the way, the fact that he went to Fulham is criminal.
Well, he
went to Juve and wasn't great.
He had a terrible time at Juve.
The problem was he wasn't Gigi Buffon.
Yeah.
Which is the worst crime in football.
He didn't have a good. He didn't have a good time at Juve. They replaced him with Buffon. But yeah, his time at. I think he went to Fulham, and then I think he sort of got institutionalized almost.
Players love English football, don't they? They get into the English football way. But he came to Man United and he just made us better instantly.
Yeah. And it helps when you're playing behind that back four.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Van der Sar was class. Bizarrely, I'm not gonna surprise you much here. I also picked Edwin van der Sar because I didn't think Tim Krul, Jesper Cillessen, or Ed de Hoy were as good.
Martin Stekelenburg.
I forgot he's still in the Premier League.
So Everton, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. Or maybe I think he's on loan at Southampton, maybe. But yeah, his contract expires this summer.
He's Van der Sar was just as I say, biased as a Man United fan, but he taking away Juventus, he made teams better when he played in them.
Yeah.
So moving to right back, I'd like to hear.
I did just see him get spanked for 4 goals, although they weren't his fault. I will just say.
No, he wasn't to blame at all.
No.
I'd like to hear your right back, John.
Right back, I really struggled with. Hardest position in this whole team because they haven't had many good right backs, strangely.
They had one for me, and that's the one I picked.
I went with Reisiger.
I also went with Michael Reisiger. And I think that's someone who was... I think a bit unloved because he's a little bit like Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He was very defensive.
Yeah, I mean, I think he didn't have a very good time at Middlesbrough in the sort of twilight of his career, but he still wasn't. It wasn't like he was bad. He just played in a bad Middlesbrough team.
And he had problem. He got injured at got injured at Milan.
Yeah. I mean, look at the CV: Ajax, Milan, Barcelona,
Middlesbrough.
I think PSV did he end up at?
But yeah, he did. Yeah, but I mean, you look at the honours: 4 Eredivisie, a Champions League, UEFA Cup, a Super Cup, 2 La Ligas, a Super Cup, and a Copa del Rey.
Oh, do.
And he's also still in football. He's the Ajax assistant coach now. For me, he was a good player. He was one of those people that just did a job. And to be honest, I've gone for I went for him because I just thought, you know what, he was the only option. When I sat back and thought, right back Dutch, my brain immediately, the synapses fired, and Michael Reisiger.
You think of the recent ones, and they've had
Gregory van der Wiel.
Who I find really disappointing because I thought he was going to be really good, and he wasn't.
The 2010 World Cup was very misleading.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I can't think of his name now, but he's the Watford right back.
Janmaat. Daryl Janmaat.
Daryl Janmaat. Oh, I thought was fine as a player.
He's serviceable, but if I was it's a very, we're looking for a serviceable player, and for me, Reisiger was more serviceable.
I'll pick the guys from the Champions League.
Yeah, I'll pick the guy who's won every major European trophy.
Yeah. Because I mean, yeah, is Van der Wiel still at Paris? Oh no, he's playing in America now, at Toronto.
Fair enough.
I think he may even be without a club.
There
you go. Yeah, he was.
I think Reisiger's the unanimous choice.
Reisiger's the easy choice.
The Dutch don't have many great wing backs, so I'm going to move to left back because I think centre back is better.
There's choices,
more options. So left back, I know who you've gone for, and I've gone for someone different.
Okay, who do you think I've gone for?
I think you've gone for Giovanni van Bronckhorst.
Van Bronckhorst.
If I can say.
Have you gone for Newman?
I did go for Arthur Newman, yeah.
I was thinking of Newman, but I just thought I'm going to stick with Van Bronckhorst because I really like him.
For me, I went for Arthur Newman for 2 reasons. It's just in terms of my personal opinion, the 98 World Cup. I loved watching that Dutch team. And also his time at Rangers. We were very much into Scottish football in the early 2000s, and him at Rangers. I was the Celtic guy, you were the Rangers guy, and Arthur Newman at Rangers I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, he had injury problems there, but
it seems you can't be a Dutch wingback, fullback without having injury problems.
Yeah, but no, he was very good. 2 of my favourite Rangers players were Newman, and in front of him was Jörg Albertz.
The German, Der Hammer.
But yeah, we could have a Rangers connection here because, of course, Van Bronckhorst had a year at Rangers.
Van Bronckhorst replaced Arthur Newman at Rangers.
Yeah,
I believe, didn't he?
Yeah. 2000.
Yeah, 2003.
Yeah. And another one of my players, and there's a couple that I could pick, also had Rangers connections. But
Fernando Ricks.
But I would happily have Arthur Newman because, as well, he was part of that 98 team, and they were my favourite team I've ever watched that's not to win the World Cup.
Other than England in 2018.
Well, yeah, that I don't. The only team I didn't support. But yeah,
That's fair. And I think, for me, I've had my love of football kits from the Dutch team of '98. That orange kit with the black trim and the away kit, the blue away kit, the totally dark blue with the orange trim, and fucking hell, it sounds dreadful, but I loved it. If I could get that shirt again.
One of my first kits I really, really coveted was the U96, the Lotto.
Oh yes.
U96,
Lotto kit.
1994, 1996. I loved the Lotto kit. Yeah. Also, just the fact they play in orange, I just love. But yes. Anyway, should we move on to centre back? Because I think we've got Reisiger and Newman on the flanks.
Have you gone for Newman over Van Bronckhorst?
I've gone for Van Bronckhorst, but I'm quite happy to succeed and have Newman because Newman's pretty class.
Okay. I'll give you my first centre back. Jaap Stam.
Yeah, I had Jaap Stam because possibly the best defender in Premier League history.
I think he falls out of the contention. I mean, obviously, but you haven't picked Van Dijk. He hasn't been around long enough. Jaap Stam was just a monster, and he played for a number of good clubs. So, playing for Man United, PSV, that PSV team of the late 90s was very good. The Man United team where he won the treble, playing for Lazio, playing for Milan, played in the Champions League final for Milan in 2005. Just a beast of a player. I don't know what it was with him because he wasn't one of the quickest, but he wasn't.
He had a ton of pace,
ready.
though.
Yeah, he wasn't the quickest, but you couldn't beat him.
Yeah. I just remember that
dominant.
I mean, it isn't. He looked scary, and it's not like ugly. It just looked like if you saw him in an alleyway late at night, you'd change direction. But he could play as well because he's Dutch.
So, I'd like to show you something terrifying, John.
Is that a young Jaap Stam?
That is Jaap Stam with hair.
I've never seen that.
He looks a lot less threatening.
He does a lot. He does. He looks almost like Iron Robin. Well, there you go. It's less threatening. The thing is, when he went to Milan, because they also had back then, they also had Maldini and Roque Jr. And other defenders. I saw him play right back against Barcelona in the Champions League, and he was brilliant. As well, he was their best attacking threat against the Rijkaard Barcelona, and he was brilliant.
I think he's a player that I don't know. I think possibly his management career hasn't been great.
He had a good first year with Reading. He almost got them up.
Playoff final, didn't he?
Yeah.
Can't remember who they lost to. Someone, anyway.
I can't remember either.
Genuinely can't remember, but Jaap Stam possibly his management career has ended him, but what a dominant player. And I'm glad we're unanimous on that one. So Jaap Stam is slotted into centre defence. Tell me your other one, John.
I've gone for De Boer. Frank De Boer.
I have not.
Who have you gone for?
The tail end of me getting into football. This is one of those players I knew when I was young because he was one of the world's best, and that's Ronald Koeman.
Yeah, I thought of Koeman because he broke my heart in 1993
Yeah.
because he's a
He
cheat,
yeah, he's a cheat, and yeah,
but he's bloody good. But I went with Frank de Boer just because he sort of straddles a lot of these great Dutch teams. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't know who to pick between those two. Both of them could play. Koeman could play midfield as well. So could De Boer. Both of them could bring it out from the back. Both of them were steady defenders. I guess Koeman was a better free kick taker.
yeah, and that was kind of the other reason I went in, because I put him in, but just because he had such a hammer on him.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who to pick.
So gun to your head, John. Obviously, figurative gun to your head. Pick one.
I'll pick Frank de Boer, but can we come back to that? Can we work that one out later?
Absolutely not. No, that's not how it works. We don't have
Good.
to. We'll think about it. Pick gun to your head. Pick your centre back right now, and that decision
Koeman.
has to be why Koeman over De Boer.
Just because when in crunched games, Koeman scored goals. Although I will also say my favourite ever goal was scored by a Dutchman. It was set up by Frank de Boer, raking pass over most of the Argentinian midfield and defence.
About a man who we're going to fall out about later.
Maybe not. We are going to fall out.
We're going to fall out about that man later. Yes, very much.
But Koeman, I'm going to go with Koeman because he was just. Well, it's like 52-48. That sort of contentious score.
So you're giving a Brexit to
I'm giving a Brexit win to Ronald Koeman.
Okay.
Because I think as well I'm still bitter for '93. Although he also cost us Graham Taylor, so and as well back people of a certain age. Remember, do you remember how brilliant he was on fantasy football?
Alan Smith. Let's
go with Koeman. But Frank de Boer pipping him, just being pipped, and I assume give me 4 more years of this, and Van Dijk will be in this team.
Oh yeah, if he carries on the way, he's going.
He's so good.
It's hard for me as a United fan.
Yeah, but he's very good. But yeah, let's see him do it at a tournament.
That's the key thing, isn't it? But he should have been doing it next month, really, shouldn't he?
I think he will, because he seems pretty well, both a good player and character.
He's like a good character, nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, assuming we're going the Dutch, we're going for 3 centre mids. There's no wide midfield in this. That's for your wingers.
That's your wingers.
So, I'd like to hear your first centre mid, John.
Holding it all together, Edgar Davids.
I have got Edgar Davids in exactly the same thing. That was a man who just... Him at Juve, my God. God, what a footballer. Him at Inter, him at Barca, him at Tottenham for the first year and a half. Good Lord.
No, he's class. I mean, as I say, I'm watching Euro '96 at the moment, um, as they're re-showing it on ITV. And of course, he's not there for the England game because he got chucked out at the tournament by Gus Hiddink. And it's just, like, once again, it's a shame. And the Dutch would have been so much better with him. And it's a shame as well because, like, was it 2002 they didn't qualify?
Yeah, they weren't at the 2002 World Cup, no.
Knocked out by the Irish, weren't they, in qualification? And once again, that was when he was at his peak, and it's a shame that we missed out on those years because the Dutch couldn't get it together. Because he was so good. So good.
Yeah,
I remember when he came to Barcelona, and I think when he joined, they were languishing in mid-table, and they had all this attacking talent, but they couldn't get it together. And suddenly, he joined on loan. I think it was from Juve, where he fallen out of favour, and suddenly they started winning and winning, and the momentum built, and they were pipped to the title. But it was all because of David's joining, and I think they then sort of waited, and he went and joined Inter. But yeah, he was so good, such a good player, and bizarrely, I think underrated in the modern game because I think I don't think that he gets enough credit. I think possibly because he went on too long, playing for Barnet, stuff like that. I think his latter days at Tottenham and
Crystal Palace.
But
I just like the fact that he liked London. Just wanted to stay in London.
Yeah, no, and I do like it when a player goes out on top, but we shouldn't hold it against him when players want to carry on. Just, I think, enjoy playing football. And
yeah, it's a bit. I see it a little bit like with him. I also see it a bit like Rivaldo, because Rivaldo was playing in the, I don't know, the Kazakhstan Premier League at the age of 45 or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
but for me, that doesn't take away from that dynamic, ridiculously good attacking mid. And for me, with Davids, just thinking of how good he was, he was just a lock-in for this team. Just
I almost put in Rijkaard, but I think it's only because I didn't see the best of Frank Rijkaard.
You just saw him at the end, didn't you? You just saw him in that team.
And the
I nearly put him in for gobbing in Rudi Voller's hair just through the clip.
Yeah.
I'm going off the clip, so
I because of the Guardian podcast, I did watch the '95 final. He's the best player on the pitch, but unfortunately that's his final game. He retires, and so I didn't see enough of him. But
I kind of much in the same way I praise Davids for keep playing. I almost fuck you, Frank Rijkaard, for retiring on top. Who do you think you are?
Retiring on top in a Champions League final win against your old team.
That's the sweet spot.
That is just perfect. But yeah, because I saw more Davids. Davids.
I'm going to give you the next one for mine, and that's someone of the same era as the next one I have is the same era as Frank Rijkaard, but it's someone I did see more of, and someone who, through Football Italia and through time in the Premier League, it's Ruud Gullit.
I love Ruud Gullit.
But also, what was his position?
He could do anything. By the time he was at Chelsea, he was defender.
Holding mid.
He was a defender for Chelsea. And my favorite. This is for another podcast we're going to do at a later date because I've been looking into Ruud Gullit. And he was too good for the Chelsea team he joined. So, like, his first thing he'd do, he'd get the ball, and he'd spray it out to the flanks. But the right back wasn't good enough to play with him, so that's why Dan Petrescu joined. because they needed to have a right back who was good enough to play with Ruud Gullit. So yeah,
What?
he was sort of a sweeper. I think like a libero sort of. I think back it was still in vogue back then.
I think also it's just I like the idea of just what position do you want to play? Yeah, all right, do that then.
Yeah,
just Glenn Hoddle's approach of just do whatever you want. Seems fine as long as you're happy. Just go and be good.
The thing is, he was a forward for Feyenoord, and played everywhere for Milan.
Played everywhere for Holland. He was just. I obviously we saw him towards the tail end of his career, and I realised we're going against the clock, but because he was in the Premier League, we saw more of him.
Yeah,
the football Italia.
It's easy to say Gullit than it is to say Rijkaard and Van Basten because we saw Ruud Gullit. We saw how fast he was.
I think also because Van Basten was injured, you saw the kind of the tail end of Gullit through Football Italia, and he was a dynamic player. Rijkaard wasn't the type of player you'd get in the highlights.
Well, Rijkaard as well was, we saw Rijkaard at Milan. I didn't see Rijkaard at Ajax other than Champions League finals. So it's.
I know it's the soft spot as well because I always had a soft spot for Sampdoria.
Yeah.
And knowing he went, and knowing he basically just went there just because Milan didn't want him anymore, and just almost kind of had a fuck you season at Sampdoria.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go against Gullit. Well, who's your third midfielder?
The third midfielder I picked was Clarence Seedorf.
I got Seedorf.
So you don't have Ruud Gullit then?
I don't have Ruud Gullit.
Who do you have?
I have Wesley Sneijder.
That is a fine choice. And you know what? If the whole idea of this is football based on what we are more conscious of, I am happy to relent Ruud Gullit for Wesley Sneijder because the 2010 World Cup, and also it's the 10-year anniversary today of Inter winning the Champions League.
Oh, is it?
Yep, 10 years ago today, Inter won the Champions League against Bayern, that Mourinho team that just was so wonderfully functional.
They
had everything. That was the best Barcelona team of all time. The 2008 to 2012, that Barcelona team. Oh my God, I had everything. And watching Lionel Messi just get destroyed out of a game in the semi-final, just completely nullifying the best player in the world. But anyway, that's enough of the Mourinho love. We'll say that for another episode. But the 10-year anniversary, I think almost for Wesley Sneijder, he had everything. He could score a free kick. He had an amazing pass. He had an amazing long shot. He had a great number of assists, and he made teams better when he played for them.
He did until. I'm picking a very specific Wesley Sneijder, which is until the 2010 World Cup. So it's the Ajax one, the early Inter one.
The Real Madrid Sneijder, because I think he was. Then they had that kind of Dutch migration to Real Madrid, and they all kind of became very, very unloved very quickly. It was Robben, Huntelaar, and Sneijder coming in, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't work, but there was a point, and you've just sort of 2010 World Cup, and I'm basing it on as well what I saw them do for Holland. And I never saw because Gullit never played for Holland after 1993 because he fell out with the management. I went with Sneijder, and it was hard to leave a player like that out, but it was then until 2010 he was a brilliant midfielder. It was after then he decided he was going to be a number 10, and you lost the dynamism of him. Like, he he dragged that Dutch team to the final in 2010.
Well, that was still a very good team, but that team would not have got there without him.
Who was their top scorer?
Him.
Wesley Sneijder. It was him who scored the goal against Brazil. You know, he was a great player, but yeah, unfortunately, at the end of his career, he was. I don't know if he was turned into a number 10 or he turned himself into a very basic number 10, and it was a shame because he was brilliant, and then he just became merely functional, and then, so basically he became a luxury player that meant that only no. It seems to be every summer he'd be linked with Man United, but he'd never join Man United because why would they buy a passenger and pay him as much money as he could? So that's why he was in Turkey.
Well, there was the Turkish way of the tax in Turkey.
Yeah.
And I think also you always got the feeling like the Turkish taxman, if he was paid 83 grand a week, he earned 83 grand a week.
If
he came to Britain and earned 83 grand a week, he'd earn 40 grand a week.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't blame any player wanting to make money. So, but
you've only got so much tread on the tyres, haven't you?
Exactly. Should we talk about Seedorf? Just mention Clarence Seedorf, just because.
Oh God, what? Do you know the thing that made Clarence Seedorf for me? And it's something very specific and not something you'd think of. The last Soccer Aid.
I was talking to Griff about this the other day. So a fellow podcaster on the Snap, and basically, he's still brilliant.
And also, he looked like he looked like he could slot into any team. He was one of those players that I think almost he's not as loved as he was because he was so versatile.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. But I mean, like for football hipsters, he played for Ajax, Sampdoria, Milan's.
Yeah.
Madrid.
Sampdoria.
Yeah, so he left Ajax for Sampdoria, then went to Milan, then was later Madrid, Milan, Inter Milan, just everywhere.
And then his career in Brazil, which I loved.
Yeah. Yeah, because why not? And yeah, had a fantastic shot. I mean, was he first player to win the Champions League with three teams?
Yes.
So Ajax, Madrid, and then Milan. AC Milan. Yeah, just a wonderful player. And
absolutely.
So yeah, we mentioned him only in passing because it's such a lock-in that he's in it that
it was Davidson Seedorf because they were just, and you know we've mentioned Football Manager on previous ones, but as soon as I had a team that had money, I was going for one of those two. Yeah. And also, for Clarence Seedorf because he had everything. He was skillful. He could have just a bolt of a long shot.
Yeah, as well. He's a really interesting pundit.
Yes.
So, because every so often for the World Cup, he'll turn up for BBC,
and he's just cool as hell.
Cool as, let's just say, he's cool as fuck.
So
he got on the wings. I think there's a lock.
Yeah, there is a lock here. So yeah, I'm gonna start with the first lock is Peter Van Vossen. No, being serious, Arjen Robben.
Arjen Robben, yeah.
Just in a world where Messi and Ronaldo did not exist, that man would be treated like a god.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said. Like basically, in a world without those two, the Bayern Munich wingers of Ribery and Robben,
the robbery,
were insanely brilliant. Yeah, as well, he was brilliant at uh, obviously PSV, to get to Chelsea, had a quiet time at Madrid, and then 10 years at Bayern Munich, where he saw success that not many other players have seen the likes of.
Yeah, he's one of those players as well that just lit up a game. Just
Yeah,
that
he's
down the
exciting,
wing,
isn't he?
down the wing, cut in. Shit, something's going to happen.
He has. He's quite ridiculed sometimes that he has that one move. But
what a move!
show me someone who does it. Show me someone who had an effective way of countering it, because he did it to everyone. Everyone.
100%. Could not agree more.
Yeah. In the 2010 World Cup, he was the one Dutch player who was exciting and not seemingly set out to kill everyone else, and possibly could have won it. He had some. He missed some one-on-ones with Casillas, but there were hard chances. But yeah, one wonderful player. And yeah, so who you got on the other wing?
Mark Overmars.
I got Mark Overmars, yeah.
Because I remember he was going to join Man United before injury struck.
Yeah.
But Mark Overmars at Arsenal, Mark Overmars at Barcelona, he was just better than you.
Yeah. Wasn't he the most expensive Dutchman when he joined Barcelona?
He was, yeah.
About £25 million. When that was a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. And I think he's someone who, because of the time he played as well, he could possibly be a bit unloved.
Yeah. I mean, as well, it's hard to, because you judge him on the Barcelona years, he wasn't great.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the injury that cost him potentially early transfers to England struck again. He persistent knee injuries and retired by 2004. He then did come back in 2008 and played for Go Ahead Eagles.
His local team, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lasted the season before basically he was told medically to retire. But, I don't blame him for giving it another go 4 years after he'd retired initially. But yeah, for Ajax and for Arsenal, he was devastating.
Yeah, the season before the Man United treble, the 97-98 season.
Yeah.
Was that the year Arsenal won the double?
Yes. Yeah, the 97-98. Yeah, he was, and he scored against the 98. Yeah,
97-98 because he scored the opening goal in the FA Cup final.
Yeah. And he scored the goal against Man United that basically not won the league, but
mentally took Man United out of the league.
Yeah. Just flicked it over Schmeichel.
Just a great player. Just an absolutely great player.
I remember because it was, I think the rumours were that Arsenal had paid £4 million for him. And apparently Wenger's come out and said it was much less than that because of the knee injuries.
But the fee was reported to be between 5 and 7.
Yeah, apparently it was much less than that because of his knee injuries.
Great player. So I think I just wanted to satisfy the Arsenal element there because I know who you've picked up front, and I've picked somebody who played for Arsenal. but not the man you're thinking of.
Played for Arsenal. Oh, Van Persie.
I've picked Robin van Persie because for me, the 2008 to 2013, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even the 2014 World Cup, he was phenomenal.
He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The header over
Casillas. Yeah, I think the other person I had in mind, I know Bergkamp, but for me, I find it very hard because I was a young Man United fan. So I'm conditioned to hate him. Whereas Overmars, I liked because he was pacey. Bergkamp was just, and also there's this kind of the football purists love Bergkamp, and it's moments with, it's moments with Bergkamp, isn't it? And he made that Arsenal team great. They were very good players. You had the best backline going in English football history. You had a 20 goal a season striker.
Oh, they were a good team, but he was super, and that's why
he was very, very good. But for me, the one thing the Dutch have always had is just these amazing scorers of goals.
Yeah,
and you've got all these wonderfully dynamic players around that Dutch team, and I didn't want to put in another wonderfully dynamic Dutch player. I wanted a scorer of goals.
No, fair enough. I think this is where basically we're going to fall out because I don't think either of us want us back down.
Should we just write down Dutch striker who played for Arsenal?
Yeah. Can I also mention there was I almost went with Van Nistelrooy as well, just because he was a devastatingly effective forward.
Yeah, I think the period at Man United, the period at Real Madrid, where he got Pichichi at Real Madrid, and just the thing I liked about Van Nistelrooy as well is there was there was not one part of his game that was, like there's certain strikers who this one part of their game is phenomenal.
Oh, he was just class all over. I remember
he was. Are you talking about? Are you going to say the goal against Fulham? Yeah.
But he scored similar goals against Arsenal, where he'd get the ball and he'd run, one of the defenders, get into the box, and then once he was in the box, he was deadly.
And also, that's somebody who came back from a horribly serious knee injury.
I remember so the year before, his knee injury. Back then, my team Leeds were throwing money for forwards everywhere, and there was a rumor that we were going to buy Van Nistelrooy, and nothing ever happened. And then you guys got involved, Man United, and suddenly, then it became clear Leeds aren't going to get this guy, and he got injured, and I was like, and so when he joined, I was very curious to see, what we could have had, and I was gutted because he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But he's not made the team. So we'll have.
I will. As you relented Frank de Boer for Ronald Koeman, I will relent to Dennis Bergkamp.
Thank you.
Our new element of one relent per episode.
We'll do it for this one. We'll have to start fighting them, but this has already gone on quite long anyway. So we'll think. So shall we?
You've got Bergkamp. Bergkamp's safe.
Bergkamp's safe. So do you want to we go over our team?
Absolutely, yeah. So starting with Van der Sar in goal, Michael Reisiger at right back, a centre back partnership of Ronald Koeman and Jaap Stam, Arthur Newman at left back, with a midfield of David, Seedorf, and Schneider, with Robben, Overmars, and Bergkamp up front.
Well, yeah. I look forward to them going out in the semi-finals to Brazil in a penalty shootout that they should have won.
I look forward to them losing to Greece in the qualifying game for the tournament.
Yeah, we'll see which two of these players gets thrown out before the tournament.
Absolutely. And I look forward to an absolutely world-class manager making them fail.
Yeah. Anyway, should we call it a day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been good fun, and I think for our next one, we will make sure that we are really ready to argue why Dennis Bergkamp is not one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history.
I'm going to argue the exact opposite of that. But yeah, of course, if you disagree with any of this, get in touch.
You're wrong. No, if you disagree, you're welcome to. We welcome your opinion. We have a Twitter account. We have a Facebook account. And if you're that passionate about it, come on and argue it with us.
Exactly. Yeah. Come get on the Twitter at the 1, the number 2, the word 11, the number pod. And of course, Facebook is the same. Get in touch and say, or it doesn't have to be about this. You happen to be, you happen to be Spanish and want to talk about your favorite Spanish 11. You happen to be a Glasgow Rangers fan and we'll go for your favorite 11. Or you picked a first 11 off the top of your head that's weird. We want to hear it. So get in touch.
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
But until next episode, we'll say goodnight.
Thank you very much.